It's Michael Popok, Legal AF. Stewart Rhodes, founder, leader of the Oath Keepers, about to serve 18 years in federal prison for seditious conspiracy for being one of Trump's army to help overthrow democracy. On Jan 6th, has words from his jail cell for his leader, Donald Trump. And those words are, "You are going to lose at trial to Jack Smith in the Department of Justice." He didn't mince words. He came out with only the cool reflection that comes from sitting in a detention center in a jail in the District of Columbia. Stewart Rhodes has a message to his former fearless leader: settle, plea bargain, you're going to jail. And how do I know? Because they did it to me, and they're going to use the same playbook against me, and they're going to use it against you, which, according to Stewart Rhodes, is getting people who were in his inner circle to testify against him under threat of them going to jail to avoid their own jail time, and using Stewart Rhodes's words against him, and having the January 6th investigation, the January 6th committee, and the civil suit filed by Benny Thompson and the widow of Brian Sicknick, the Ku Klux Klan case, the civil case, as the blueprint, which conditioned the narrative, according to Stewart Rhodes, and led him to be convicted. He also said in the interview with the Washington Times, which is a right-wing newspaper that's used to be owned, or I think it currently is owned by the Moonies, the Korean cult owns the Washington Times, that those are his words, that Donald Trump's trial, his new trial, it will likely be in the District of Columbia, along with Miami, and that a D.C. judge and a D.C. jury is and will going to convict him. Stewart Rhodes not only founded the Oath Keepers in 2009 and knows whence he speaks, but he's also a Yale law graduate. I mean, you wouldn't know it by the fact that he shot his own eye out at a gun range because he put the business end of the gun near his face. Yes, that's why he wears an eye patch. But when he's not busy violating every rule of safe gun practice at a gun range, he was a Yale law graduate. And so he's speaking from experience. He said, for instance, in getting his 18 years, that he said, Stewart Rhodes, didn't even enter the Capitol, and I got found guilty of seditious conspiracy. There's no evidence of an actual plan, and I got convicted of conspiracy, and they used my speech and my words against me. And Donald Trump, President Trump, ex-President Trump, they're going to do it against you because you say a lot and you talk a lot. And they're going to do the same thing where they're going to take the inner circle, threaten them with life imprisonment unless they're going to testify against Donald Trump. Now, of course, he's MAGA all the way. So he says those people that are going to be testifying against Donald Trump, whoever they may be in the inner circle, are all lying against Donald Trump. I mean, I don't have time on this particular hot take to catalog for you all of the people that we already know about that have been either compelled to testify or voluntarily testify against Donald Trump, including at least 6 of his lawyers. Evan Corcoran, chief lawyer for Mar-a-Lago, grand jury, testified. Christina Bobb, the other lawyer for him at Mar-a-Lago, and the crimes committed there, stripped of attorney-client privilege, both of them, and testified. Evan Corcoran's 50 pages of handwritten notes about his representation of Donald Trump was given to the federal government because the attorney-client privilege stripped away under the crime fraud exception to the attorney-client privilege. So said a federal judge, 2 federal judges, and nothing was properly appealed by Donald Trump. And there you go. He's not the only lawyers. Alina Habba has testified about documents she did or didn't see at Mar-a-Lago when she was searching through the desk drawers of Donald Trump, looking for things in the civil case up in New York. The list goes on. Rudy Giuliani has currently provided a proffer, a sworn statement under oath, under penalty of perjury against Donald Trump and others, the people that were responsible for the fake elector scheme. I mean, I could spend just reading off names. I could spend the entire hot take of the witnesses that have come forward or have been compelled and stripped of any privilege to testify against Donald Trump. There is more evidence against this man and his one-man crime spree to paraphrase a colleague of mine on Legal AF, then there would be enough to convict a dozen men. And that's what Stewart Rhodes, right? The benefit of hindsight. He's like Donald Trump's ghost of Christmas past. He's like Marley's ghost. And he's testifying in not under oath, but given an interview with the Washington Times, not to be confused with the Washington Post, a legitimate news organization, winners of many Pulitzer Prizes. But instead, we've got the Washington Times sitting in on an interview, and Stewart Rhodes is telling Donald Trump, you will be convicted, to which I tip my hat to Stewart Rhodes, because you are so right. We've all heard the famous line, try it free for 30 days. Yeah, well, that's just enough time to try it and then completely forget about it. In fact, over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. You could be wasting money and not even realizing it. Rocket Money helps you find those forgotten subscriptions so you can stop paying for the ones you don't use. Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions, but the actual total is closer to $200. If you don't know exactly how much you're spending every month, you need Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, and chances are you're one of them. Like that Stars app just to watch one show, or that free gaming trial you never actually use. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find your subscriptions for you, and for any you don't want to pay for anymore, just hit cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. It's that easy. Rocket Money also helps you manage all your finances in one place and automatically categorize your expenses so you can easily track your budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/legalaf. That's rocketmoney.com/legalaf. Because the words of Donald Trump, which shapeshift every day depending upon the audience he's in front of, is all going to be used against him in a court of law, right? You can get all your MAGA all whipped up into a frenzy, right? Keep activating the same 25% or 30% of the Republican Party and have them bang tambourines and wear crazy t-shirts and yell out and scream things. Lock her up. Lock her up. The guy that you're supporting, I don't know what you're going to do with all those buttons and banners when he goes to jail, but that's likely to happen. Don't take my word for it. Take one of the leaders of the coup, Stewart Rhodes, Yale law graduate, founder of the Oath Keepers, Trump's own army, along with the Proud Boys. He's telling Donald Trump, if he cares to listen, you will be convicted. It will likely be at the District of Columbia. It will be in front of a judge and a jury there. They will use your own words and witnesses against you. And it's the playbook and the blueprint you just saw used against me. And I'm going away for 18 years. And I worked for you. So guess how long you're going to go away? And that's just on Jan 6 seditious conspiracy, right? The traitor that Donald Trump is or will be convicted of. That's putting aside Espionage Act in Mar-a-Lago and the 37 counts there. Witness tampering, obstruction of justice, destruction of evidence, and the like. 34 counts sitting up in New York State Court on business record fraud related to the Stormy Daniels hush money cover-up affair. We have the prosecutor in Fulton County, Georgia, Fani Willis. She literally sent out an edict, a directive to clear the streets for the end of July, beginning of August in Fulton County in Atlanta, because she's bringing a grand jury together to get the indictment of Donald Trump and others. That's guaranteed. The only question is, in this race to the finish, who's going to get out of the chute next? Is it going to be Jack Smith again with a second and third indictment of Donald Trump before the end of this month of July? Or is it going to be Fani Willis, who said she's expanded her investigation to include not just Georgia election interference, but the election interference in 5 other coordinated battleground states by Donald Trump and his henchmen and his lawyers. all trying to interfere. Because let's remember, winning Georgia wasn't enough. Donald Trump had to run the table and win all 5 of those battleground states that had already been certified for Joe Biden in order to win. So it is a bad day for Donald Trump, great day for justice, when one of his henchmen, the leader of his personal army, Stewart Rhodes, a law-trained person, looks the camera in the eye, or in this case, the Washington Times reporter in the eye, and says, Donald Trump's going to jail for a long, long time, because I did. They're going to do the same thing. They're going to use the Jan 6 narrative from the Jan 6 committee, also in the KKK case, the civil side. They're going to bring him into a D.C. courtroom with a D.C. jury. They're going to use his own words against him. They're going to get witnesses to flip. And that's going to be all she wrote about Donald Trump. We don't have to worry about him becoming president. We should be happy he's going to be the Republican nominee. That's the best the Republican Party can put forward for America. That's how they're going to make America great again, with a twice impeached, multiply indicted, jury-adjudged sex abuser. That's the best they got. Think about all the weak candidates that both parties have put up in the past. Think about them. When I voted for the first time, Mike Dukakis was the Democratic nominee. And I went to a rally when I was in college for Mike Dukakis. And I thought he and Geraldine Ferraro were going to win because I was in Manhattan. Every party's had really weak candidates. Has there ever been a weaker candidate? A weaker, more flawed, most unsuitable for office candidate than Donald J. Trump the second time around? I don't think so. And so we'll report on these politically charged litigation matters on hot takes just like this one, only on the, you guessed it, MeidasTouch network. I'm Michael Popok. I also co-anchor and co-founded the leading political and legal podcast, also on the MeidasTouch network, called Legal AF on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Wednesdays, I'm joined by Karen Friedman-Agnifilo as co-anchor. Saturdays, Ben Meiselas, founder of MeidasTouch, along with his brothers, civil rights lawyer extraordinaire in his own right. If you like what I'm doing here on Hot Takes just like this one about every day, seems like every hour some days, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment. It helps the algorithm, helps the quantity and quality of what we do here. You can follow me, Michael Popok, on all things social media at MS Popok. It's Michael Popok, Legal AF reporting.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.